on the grid, just checking his modified Ford's on the grid. So we'll go back to Scott, who may well have a special guest up in the box for us as well. So over to you, Scott.
Our second race of the weekend for the modified Ford series. Races A and C. I can hear myself in my ears, so there we go. That's better. I was getting a bit distracted. So it's races A, groups A and C for race number 2 of the weekend. I do indeed have a very special guest, and that is a man who was racing yesterday and knows all about these modified Fords, particularly in fact this fantastic series. You know him as the pit lane commentator of C1 Racing Club, but for this weekend he's helping me with everything on the Fords, etc. And indeed, if he wants to for the festival too. That's Rob Lewis. Rob, great to have you in the box again. Not quite out there running around the pit lane, a bit more dry, I think, than you normally are some of these races, but good to have you here, and you know a lot about some of these guys and these particular cars, because this series, ever since it joined BRSCC, has been nothing but sublime.
Absolutely, it's a fantastic series. I think Paul Neville, Chris Baker, Jimmy Neofitu, the team here in the Modified Ford series do a fantastic job of getting these cars on the grid. Now, the first thing I've noticed as they're gridding these cars up, there is no Neil Jessup on the front row, who of course had that podium finish in the first race yesterday, so I do hope he could either get out in the race later today. We've actually got the grids up actually, but Neil Jessup is supposed to be there on the front row alongside Steve Goldsmith, who starts on pole, and the people's favourite at Brands Hatch, Rod Burley, alongside Jack Gadd on the second row. Third row, we've got Paul Neville in his immaculate Mark II Escort alongside Lloyd Jameson, who had a wonderful birthday yesterday and a good solid result on his first race out. Wayne Crabtree next with Rory Jose, who's got a brand new gearbox in that Focus ST after he lost 4th gear yesterday, so it's good to see Rory back out in the bright pink Focus. Nick Proudlock and Supertune Racing's Harry Hardley on the 5th row, and again Harry showing some impressive speed in that Duratec engine Puma. Rob Taylor and David Guthrie round out row 6. David Guthrie returning with a new engine and going into a new class for this weekend. Colin Tester and Adam Underhill on row 7. Adam Underhill changing the setup overnight for the car to get back on this weekend and get some more raw pace out of the car. Justin Fuller in the Puma and Nigel Craig on row 8. Richard Sanders on row 9 with Alex Branch, who's fresh from racing, I believe, Fiesta Juniors.
Correct.
Nick Wall on row 10 with Jason Stone. Now, Jason is showing on the timing, but I can tell you, unfortunately, he's got a hole in his engine, so he won't be on the grid there today. He's due a new engine, unfortunately, in that Fiesta. I have got the onboard from that, which I'll put up on the socials. Julian Fisher on the next row with Dan Cowan in his Fiesta ST150. The Fiestas keep coming. And on row 12, we see Mark Hatfield for the first time in the race this weekend, with Tom Murphy in his Black Puma for the second time this weekend. Chris Burley on row 13 with Mike Greenfield in his Fiesta on rounding out row 13, and Brian Lilly in the Sierra Cosworth RS500 we should see. My good friend AJ Howe in the EcoBoost powered Focus Estate. Hopefully he can get up through the pack on those nice wet tyres he's got. Oliver Bullion in the Fiesta and Robert Tinto on row 15 with Matthew Cripps driving his dad Steve's Mark II Escorts for the first time in this weather, with Malcolm Wise on the last row. We'll just see them getting out onto the grid now, Scott. This is going to be quite exciting, isn't it?
It will be. There's a fantastic mix of cars all around in this series. Of course, every time I see the grid, it's always magnificent to watch. One car I'm disappointed not to see, because we've got Wayne Crabtree here this weekend, and I always say every time he's here and he doesn't bring it, I'm always jokingly say I'm slightly disappointed. He doesn't have his Subaru engine RS200, although I think if it had four-wheel drive it probably would dominate in these conditions. I expect one or two of the four-wheel drive cars, particularly that ex-tarmac rally car Escort Cosworth with Lloyd Jameson, to possibly have one of the advantages here. The front-wheel drives will also have that advantage too. But it's rear-wheel drive car, particularly those Escort Mark 1s and Mark 2s, that might find themselves thinking it's the RAC Rally rather than Brad.
Absolutely, it's pouring out there.
Yeah, that one. But what a different sort of unique set of cars you've got at the front. You've got Rob Burley's Escort WRC, the diminutive but potent little Ford Anglia of Steve Goldsmith, Jack Gadd's Space Frame Mark 1 Escort RSR. You've got Lloyd Jameson's ex-tarmac rally car for Escort Cosworth, Paul Neville in the Ford Escort RS2000, and then Rory Jose in the bright pink Focus RS, and then Wayne Crabtree in his Mark 1 Escort alongside them as well. So a massive variety of different cars that you couldn't wish to have any better, and I'm sure it's going to be quite a battle at the front, because Steve Goldsmith technically de facto is on pole position. Well, he is, but it's going to be intriguing because he's got some very fast cars behind him. But then, that said, that Anglia is no slouch. It might be small, but it's packed a punch on the straight.
It's all about power to weight ratio. Okay, it's got a naturally aspirated engine in there. It's not as big as the turbo guys, but it's got that power to weight ratio going for it. It doesn't weigh a lot, 700 kilos, I believe. I could be wrong on that. As we see Adam Underhill on the screen there, that's his first time out in his Focus ST170 this weekend in the AJU Motorsports Ford Focus. But if you want a couple of tips for the race, obviously I've got to be a bit biased and talk about AJ Howe. I'm going to look forward to seeing him going up through the field as they get ready to form up for the start of this race. But Harry Hardy, for me, front wheel drive is going to be key in these conditions. They can get the power down, the engine's over the driven wheels, and hopefully we'll see a couple of the smaller boys at the back make their way towards the front. Here we go.
So it is effectively a 31 strong field that will head towards the start and finish line. It was a second green flag that, because of course the conditions were much different than they were yesterday. So in the wet here at Brands Hatch, it's our second race of the weekend for the Modified Ford Series. This is groups A and C, and look at that in difference in size. A Ford Anglia and a Ford Escort WRC on the front row of the grid. Steve Goldsmith is on his own pole position as the race gets underway. Race number 2 of Modified Ford Series gets underway towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, and it is Rob Burley's Ford Escort WRC, which I think, as many many are not surprised by, is back into the lead straight away from pole position.
All twitchy as they go down into Paddock Hill Bend. David Guthrie had a mega start there, passing at least one row of cars before twitching the back end up as they go up into Druids. He's round the outside of Harry Hardy, right up the back bumper of Paul Neville. The rear-wheel drive guys are going to really struggle to get that power down in these early stages of the race, and Rory Jose going really well in that pink Project Zero Racing Focus as they come out and up towards Surtees. The raw power of those turbo cars. Lloyd Jameson has dropped back a bit. I'm not sure if he's got an issue there or he's just struggling a bit to get the grip in these conditions. And AJ Howe flying also as they go up into clearways now with the leaders.
Yeah, the four-wheel drive cars are expected to be a little bit further forward, but of course Lloyd Jameson probably just trickling around. We've got 2 more Fiesta ST150s going to combat. Rob Taylor battling away with Jordan Sanders. I think that car is an ex-Fiesta Junior car. I think it was possibly driven by, the name escapes me a little bit, but it is a former Fiesta Junior car that's come through. Speaking of which, the same is also true of Alex Sprain, who started back in 18th on the grid. So at the end of lap number 1 of this second modified Ford race, Rob Burley then leads the way here as they head up towards the end of beginning of lap number 2, and it's Rob Burley who leads the way from Goldsmith in second place. Crabtree's up to third, so Wayne Crabtree in the Escort Mark 1 is third, ahead of Jack Gadd's Space Frame Escort Mark 1 RSR as Goldsmith hangs the tail out in the Anglia. Meanwhile, it's 3 abreast behind, 3 different cars you couldn't see, a turbocharged Ford Focus, a Ford Puma, and a Space Frame Escort Mark 1 RSR. At the moment, in these wet conditions, Rob, equally as matches each other until they get to the straights when that Focus just puts its power down, and with a chirp of the turbo, it's away and gone up the road.
Bang and gone, but one man, as I said on the build-up to this, not to discount, is Harry Hardy. He's up to 6th place, and don't forget, that is a 2-litre Puma. That's got no more power than your average family saloon nowadays, and he is absolutely rocketing up that grid with David Guthrie in tow. You could see earlier in the clip with Steve Goldsmith getting a little bit twitchy. These rear-wheel drive cars really cannot get that power down on the wet stuff as they come through. 1 minute 1 lap times is kind of what you want to expect from the fast boys in these conditions. It's so wet out there, but that wily old fox Rod Burley is really giving everyone a good show here at Brands Hatch this morning as Steve Goldsmith in second with Wayne Crabtree fighting to get up into 3rd place, and Harry Hardy's really pushing on the back of Rory Jose as they go up into Druids with David Guthrie in tow. Hurry up boys, I want to play too. As they come back down the hill towards Graham Hill Bend now, Rory's just keeping Harry Hardy in check there. He doesn't want to do anything silly in these opening laps, especially after the gearbox issues he has yesterday. He just wants to get that car home in a good position, and he's really redeemed himself this year, has Rory. He had a bit of a shunt at Snetterton last year, but this year he's been... Oh, we got a car off. Yellow flags, that's car number 174. Is that Tom Murphy?
174, if I quickly bring it up on the grid, 174 is, Tom Murphy started 24th in the Ford Puma, so unfortunately that's his race done, and as anticipated, as it is still quite a dangerous position, safety car has been deployed here at Brands Hatch. We had a safety car yesterday in race 1, but unfortunately we've got more dramas around the circuit here. Of course, it is these inclement weather conditions where it's going to be pretty tricky.
Yes, I can only guess there, and obviously I don't want to be the judge and the court for Tom Murphy, but my guess is he's tried to get a bit of traction out around the outside and just lost a bit of grip and ended up in the gravel on the outside there at Clearways. It's easily done. It was bad enough there in the dry race yesterday. There were a few cars ready to go. There's the runyourfleet.com safety car ready to pick up Rod Burley, who probably will be a bit miffed. He had a 6-second lead there with Steve Goldsmith in second, Wayne Crabtree third, Rory Jose 4th, Harry Hardy 5th. That is mega impressive, Harry, and he's en route to get that class win for Class B. If he could do that, my hat's off to him. That is an impressive drive. David Guthrie is up to 6th. Jack Gadd has dropped down to 7th, perhaps not being able to get that power down. Colin Tester, the man himself in the Fiesta ST150, one of his super tuned cars. Of course, he's an instructor here at Brands Hatch, Scott. He's got himself up to 8th. We've just got the live snatch taking place now. They're going to get Tom Murphy out the gravel, so it'll be a few laps under this safety car. Now, I just want to look in the standings. Where's AJ? AJ Howe is up to 19th, so he's doing well. He obviously wants to get the grip down in that estate, and that car is certainly a bit unique, isn't it, Scott?
It is, yeah. It's. I always sort of say, whenever I'm introducing it in with the grid, and say it's a Focus Estate, and I always say, no, that's not me stumbling. Like, it's actually a Focus Estate, which is great to see. It's a wonderfully unique car, and I'd imagine that he's got quite a decent amount of stability because, of course, typically cars that have got, in some cases, a longer wheelbase tend to be more stable when it comes to, particularly in adverse conditions like this, and particularly also being front-wheel drive. Also, of course, that's a help in wet conditions too. So he's got the advantages going for him. It's just sometimes, as we both know, the reliability of that car isn't always quite there. But when it's on song, it's quite formidable, and it's always able to carve its way through pretty easily. It
is. It's a formidable car. It's a home-built car. He's got a Fiesta EcoBoost 1.6 turbo engine in that, and unfortunately blew the boost pipe off it yesterday. He's had a bit of a tricky year. He has won some trophies along the way, but that is, for me, that is the epitome of club racing. It is a home-built car on his drive with lots of friends. He's got some wonderful sponsors on board. Fury Auto Works, as you can see on the front of his car there as he comes through our shot, have been doing lots of work on the turbo and engine setup, trying to get the best power out of it while also keeping it reasonably reliable. So hopefully over the next year or so, we'll see AJ back out and more reliable. Other notable cars in the field as well. Lloyd Jameson, after his 6th place birthday result yesterday, he's gone down to 10th. Maybe he's struggling a little bit with the grip in this position, but in these conditions, but you know, he's had a bit of a tricky year as well with engine issues, so he'll just be looking to get another good, solid result in this race. And David Guthrie, after he blew his engine at Donington earlier this year, he's put a new EcoBoost engine in that Fiesta, and he's up to 6th place, as I said earlier on the commentary. He's doing brilliantly to follow Rory Jose and Harry Hardy in the front-wheel drive machines. We're still currently on safety car, although I have a feeling this may be the last lap for it. Don't quote me on it. They're just trying to get Tom's car out the gravel, or at least get it out the way so they can carry on with this race.
Yeah, definitely. Get it into a safe enough position so they can carry this race on, get it restarted as soon as possible. The timer ticks down. It's only a 15-minute race, so these guys are going to have to try and get going. But for yesterday's race, of course, it was quite dramatic at some points because we had that battle between Neil Jessup and James Allen, and I'm surprised. I think many people watching it back are surprised James Allen even got to it unscathed. Because if you look at the massive tank slapper that he had.
That was mega. That was absolutely mega when he did that. It's fair play to him. I'm sure, actually, Scott, he will be revelling in these conditions later on today because, of course, another Focus RS front-wheel drive.
Yeah, so he'll want to try and make the most of those conditions. I think, hopefully, and I'm touching wood here when I say this, it is brightening up slightly, I say very slowly and carefully. It doesn't look as though it's actually raining at the moment, or if it is, it's quite light. And hopefully that's an omen. I can see some light breaking through the clouds above. So I'm probably being I'm being a bit tenuous, but in many cases it's it looks like it's getting a little bit brighter, shall we say? But we're still expecting more rain throughout the day as the races go on. So let's just quickly check in with class leaders very quickly. So Rob Burley leads Class A in the lead. In second place, Steve Goldsmith leads in the Anglia in Class B+. Harry Hardy in the Puma leads Class B. Super B is led by Jack Gadd, the number 59 Escort Mark 1 RSR. There it goes, just going through the shot now. Also leading its class, we've got the 771 Escort Mark 1 in Class C of Nick Proudlock. He leads that class too, and I think he's even the last class leader, I think, on the field. Yes, he is. So class leaders are inside the top 15, all of them, and looking to go through. Another favourite car of mine, being someone who used to watch Australian touring car videotapes all the way when I was a kid, the Brian Lilly Ford Sierra RS500 Cosworth in the beautiful replica red and yellow Dick Johnson livery. That's one that's iconic to me, of course. There's another one which Jeremy Sutton has, of course, that when he drives. Yes. He's usually out with CMMC, and that's a proper Tony Longhurst Benson Hedges type livery. So great to see one or two of these Sierra RS500s, whether they're originals or built up to be RS500
Oh no, he's at the pits. Great shame.
That's the first commentator's curse of the weekend, I think, because into the pit lane he comes then. So as I speak about that car, unfortunately, pulls into the pit lane and has the issue. So that's unfortunate to see. I think with the recovery from what I saw, they've just about pulled it up against the barrier as much as they can. There were still waved yellows down there. but it looks as though...
Just looking out the commentary window there, Scott, I can't see a JCB, so I assume they're going to leave the car there tucked up against the barrier where it is so we can resume some racing, perhaps.
Hopefully so. So that means with about 6 minutes to go then, the race will get back underway. We'll know if it's there. Is that,
lights out on the safety car.
Yeah, lights out on the safety car. 771, that's the Nick Proudlock car again, slightly sideways. I think the rain, if it's coming back again, I think if the cars have got their wipers on, it's more to counter the spray from the cars in front rather than any rain around on the circuit, because it is looking a little bit brighter out there at the moment. But we'll wait and see how the rest of this race progresses. Just noticed that Wayne Crabtree's Mark 1 Escort there is a wonderful Golf livery as well. That's fantastic. Two fantastic bastions of motorsport. Of course, the Golf livery, the Mark 1 Escort, but it's an Escort WRC that leads the way as they head on to the restart of this race with 5.5 minutes to go in the second modified Ford Series race of the weekend. And Rob Burley leads the way in the four-wheel drive Escort Cosworth WRC. And now the battle for second begins between Steve Goldsmith in the Anglia, Wayne Crabtree in the Mark 1 Escort, the Focus ST of Rory Jose, Harry Hardy of a 2-litre Ford Puma, and David Guthrie in his winged and splitted for Fiesta. Now it's 5 of them line astern for the podium places, and they are 5 quite different spec cars, but in many cases they are all over each other down towards Graham Hill Bend.
Rory's having a right old battle there. He's trying to get onto the back of the third place car of Wayne Crabtree, but he's also got Harry Hardy gnawing away at his back bumper. Come on, Rory, let me through. What an impressive drive there by Harry Hardy and Rory. And don't forget, we've also got Dave Guthrie up the back bumper of both of them looking to get through. Like we say, those front wheel drive cars really able to get their power down a bit better and get the traction on the circuit, as we see Steve Goldsmith and Wayne Crabtree clawing their way out of the first corner. But Rob Burley has just said, you know what, you guys, you bang your castanets together, I'm off. But here comes Rory Jose down the inside, and David Guthrie's got past Harry Hardy on sheer power there, coming down the straight into Paddock Hill Bend, nice and twitchy on the brakes, turning nice and gently. Lovely stuff.
Josie has managed to get the move done on Stuggot Goldsmith. Now if he's got the power up the hill towards Druids, he might well get Wayne Crabtree, which he just about does. Crabtree tries and moves across. He'd have to give him the room. There was almost a bit of a click coming together between them, but thankfully Wayne saw him in his mirrors. But he knows that it's possibly only a matter of time. It's when rather than if that big Focus ST gets in front. Of course, he's looming large in his mirrors. This huge pink Focus ST. Definitely can't miss it on track, and the power it's got, you can't miss that either. Further back, we've got Jordan Sanders. This is the AJ Howe Focus Estate running wide, going around the outside of Nigel Craig, trying to get past here. Again, 3 more different cars you couldn't find. An ST150, a Mark II Escort and a Focus Estate, all together on track, battling for position. And that is down at the moment, scrapping over. Looks like that is currently 15th, 16th and 17th, because I think Nick Proudlock has got past all 3 of them. Meanwhile, they're all together in this battle here. Look, as you see, now Wayne Crabtree's got some poke in that Escort Mark 1, holding off Rory Josie, particular straight line. But here he comes to the inside line into Paddock Hill Bend. Rory will know that Wayne's got the better grip on the outside line as Hardy goes round the outside of Goldsmith in the Anglia to hold on to the position. I think Josie was a bit out of shape there, but he managed to hold on to it. And again, Crabtree defends the inside line, turning in towards Druids. And now, here comes behind him David Guthrie in the Fiesta. So a great, fantastic battle. Again, 5 different genuine models of cars: an Escort, a Focus, a Fiesta, a Puma and an Anglia. 5 different specifications, 5 different generations of car, just as equally matched each other in these wet conditions. It really is a performance leveler in the wet, and it's proving it here.
Here comes Rory Jose up into Surtees. Lovely move by Rory. Fantastic stuff. He'll be really pleased with that if he could keep it on the black stuff with 2.5 minutes to go, or just over 2.5 minutes to go in this race. Rory sideways. Oh, keep it out the gravel, Rory. Oh, no. Come on, keep it on the black stuff, Rory. Get it out, get it out. Oh, good lad. Such a shame. He was driving an immaculate race. And there goes Wayne Crabtree with David Guthrie now down the inside, going into Paddock Hill Bend. Just about holds him off, does Wayne Crabtree. But Steve Goldsmith has dropped down from 2nd place to 5th. He obviously couldn't quite get the grip there, but gutting for Rory Jose. He was having a mega race. And here comes Harry Hardy around the outside, coming up the hill into Druids. Wayne Crabtree's holding off David Guthrie. This is a fabulous scrap, like you say, between different generations of these modified Fords. Superb.
I tell you what, I've never seen a modified Ford race and never been entertained. This has been a fantastic scrap between these 4 cars. They're getting past one of the slower Ford Pumas as they comes through. Graham Hill Bend keeps out of the way nicely. It's good driving there from the slower Ford Puma there. They put the lap on. There's only 1 minute 45 left on the clock as Rob Burley continues to lead. His 4-wheel drive advantage has given him a lead of just about 7 seconds at the end of the last lap. But these 4 cars going back and forth. The Wayne Crabtree Golf liveried Escort Mark 1, the wing and splitter the modified, the aero-enhanced, shall we say, Fiesta ST150. Now this battle between a Ford Puma 2 litre and a Ford Anglia. It's great to see, and there's not many series that you'll find these 4 Ford models all together battling and being that evenly matched as much as possible. The rain is certainly helping in terms of being a performance leveler towards the front between these 4 cars, but constant back and forth battles as now it's a bit of rarity for what I was expecting today. I'm being blinded by the sun here in the commentary box as it's coming out, so wasn't expecting that today. We were expecting weather today, which was going to be 100% chance of rain. It was going to be, oh no, AJ Howe off the road. AJ Howe's off the road in the Focus Estate. What was that said about stability?
Yes, absolutely. It looks like that was up into 30. Oh, another car off. That's obviously very wet there.
That's triple 4's gone off the road. Let's quickly look at where that is.
Oh, another
one
off
the road. Now, is it either it's some kind of fluid. Oliver Bullion's gone off the road. I couldn't see the other one that went off there, but that's extraordinary. 3 cars have gone off at the same spot. Is it possibly just quite wet down there?
I think so.
We have quite a few of the Formula Fords were saying that a lot of incidents from red flags and testing, a lot of them were down around at the Surtees Clearways McLaren complex all the way through testing. So that was the tricky part of the circuit.
Obviously, the circuit is very greasy because it's absolutely pouring down as here comes David Guthrie again down the inside of Wayne Crabtree down the straight. God, son, fantastic move into 2nd overall behind Rob Burley. Fantastic drive by David Guthrie as we've got 10 seconds left. So this is looking to be the last lap, or certainly the penultimate lap of this race, but fantastic by David Guthrie. And Harry Hardy still doesn't want to stop trying to climb positions. He wants that overall podium spot with Steve Golding sideways behind him. Fantastic. And Harry Hardy down the inside. That's for the overall podium position. Wayne Crabtree just holds him off. Fantastic as they go onto the back straight here as well. One thing to contend with as well, you've got back markers here as Rob Burley continues with a 4-second lead. Are we going to have a checkered flag this time out? No, we've still got the last lap boards, I believe.
Yeah, but the leader will come through and take the checkered flag this time by, and Harry Hardy's got that advantage then past Wayne Crabtree. David Guthrie is into 2nd place, but meanwhile, as they come up towards the start and finish line, the checkered flag's being readied. Rob Burley takes another victory to his tally. He wins race 2 of the modified Ford Series for groups A and C. Then the scrap for 2nd. David Guthrie runs away with P2, and Harry Hardy does steal 3rd place on the final lap to pick up the final overall spot in the Ford Puma. Wayne Crabtree is 4th, Steve Goldsmith 5th, and Rory Jones, well, he says he's still going in 6th. He is, so carries on to hold on to 6th position. There's Paul Neville, the man behind Modified Fords. I'm sure is once again very proud of the grid he's put together this weekend, and he himself, of course, races in a very decent Ford Escort RS 2000. On its day in the dry conditions, he's usually quite a quick guy out there towards the front, but I think the wet's not really suiting his Escort RS 2000. Rest of the pack starts coming through as well to take the checkered flag. AJ Howe has recovered from the spin that he had. We see there, that was a 771 of Nick Proudlock, who was leading his class in the race, but battling away with AJ Howe, who dives up the inside of him and takes, I think, possibly either a position or at least unlaps himself, one of the two. I don't know how far back he was, but AJ Howe will get to the checkered flag. But again, as I've said, every single time they come out at any race weekend that they've got, the modified Fords never fail to deliver. They never disappoint at all. It's a magnificent series, and they put on great action from start to finish every single time they're out on track.
That was absolutely mega. That 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th place battle. I mean, Harry Hardy, David Guthrie, put your hands together, lads. That was a superb drive, battling with Wayne Crabtree and Steve Goldsmith. And Rory, my heart breaks for him. That was a superb move to get into 2nd place earlier into the race, but unfortunately came a bit of a cropper on the exit of Clearways there. He will be back, and it's good to see him up there and fighting fit after his gearbox issues in the race yesterday. But don't be deceived, the sun may be out, but it is still pouring with rain out of this commentary box. But from a personal point of view, it's been a pleasure to commentate on this race. That was superb.
That was excellent back and forth stuff from everyone involved there, and of course there's still one more race left to go. We'll see half of these cars out for race 3 with B and C later on. So the result from races groups A and C for Modified Ford Series: Rob Burley, David Guthrie and Harry Hardy, all class winners, and they take 1st, 2nd and 3rd overall. Wayne Crabtree is 4th and Steve Goldsmith, Rory Jost, Jack Gadd, who wins the Super B class, and Colin Tester, Lloyd Jameson in the Escort, and Nick Wall round out the top 10. And Nigel Craig 11th, Paul Neville 12th, Richard Sanders 13th, ahead of Julian Fisher, Adam Underhill, Justin Fuller, who wins his class, Rob Taylor, AJ Howe in the Focus Estate, Nick Proudlock and Alex Sprains round out the top 20. And then the rest of the order, as it scrolls through from 21st downwards, we've got Dan Cowan, Malcolm Wise and the Sapphire Cosworth, and Oliver Bullion, Mike Greenfield, Matthew Cripps, Mark Hadford and Chris Burley. And we lost from that race Robert Tinto, Brian Lilly and Tom Murphy, as well as I think also at the end of that as well. That was the last 3 retirees. So we're going to head down to our second podium of the day, our first today for the Modified Ford Series. Let's see how the top 3 found that amazing race, including winner Rob Burley, down at the top of the pit lane with Richard John Neal.
Thank you very much, Scott. Let's see if we can grab. Rod's always ready. Well done, Rod. One thing I love about Rod is that we'll get you standing in front of here in our studio, such as we'll call it. One thing I was going to say, when we circuit commentate, you always come up and keep us informed, which is great, and a lot of people don't appreciate that. I love a wet race because it sorts everybody out, doesn't it?
I was praying for rain. You know I was yesterday, yes. It still wasn't plain sailing because it got very greasy as the race went on. Might have been from my car because I think we got a bit of an oil leak from somewhere. And yeah, we also had the perennial misfire, but it was enough. You know, I know the best way round here when it's wet. But yeah, with the restart as well, that obviously closed everybody up. But like you say, it's a great leveller and it gets other people that don't normally get near the front to have a chance.
And of course, you know, having a fast car, which you seem to be able to pedal quickly in the wet or dry, doesn't matter what nature throws at you, you're there. You've still got to deal with the wet and the slower cars.
That's right. And when you're sort of at the front, you're sort of experimenting with the conditions. You know, you're the first one onto the scene. A couple of laps, there was some grass and mud that's dragged on. So yeah, you've got to keep alert. You know, everyone says, you know, obviously four-wheel drive's an advantage, but you know, there's another four-wheel drive car out there as well. So it's, you know, like you say, you've still got to get it to the finish. But yeah, I enjoyed that. That's our first outright win of this year, believe it or not.
No way!
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, it's been that sort of year. But it's nice to do it here at Brands, you know, home circuit, and you know, with a lot of family and friends here. It's a good way. You know, the guys have worked tirelessly this year. You know, Joe and his son Joseph, and Barry, and you know, everybody else who's helped. People like Stuart Day. A lot of people have put a lot of effort in this year. It's just been, I think the old girls just said, you know, I'm getting tired now. And yeah, but you know, new lease of life today, so
That's great. So that's your day done now, I think, isn't it?
yes, I've got to go and look after the Intermark now, so I put my other hat on, sort of poacher turned gamekeeper.
Well, good luck with that, Rod. Let's have a quick word with our second place man, because we've got cars coming on the grid. And second position goes to David Guthrie. Fair old progress through the grid there for David. Let's get you here. Maybe move you over just a tad so we've got our sponsors in. Was that a lot of work because you made up a lot of ground on your grid position?
Well, very difficult, very difficult. Really tricky conditions, but I think the front wheel drive cars had a bit of an advantage there. But yeah, a lot of hard work, really hard work.
The accent tells me you're not from the southeast.
No, from Yorkshire. Motherland, God's country.
And that's the thing about modified Ford Series, isn't it? It attracts the drivers of incredible machinery from all over the country.
It is a really good series. I mean, there's obviously a lot of different cars, as you've seen. But conditions like this are a really good leveller for us, because obviously we're sort of less power, and it brings us closer to, you know, the big guys, and gives us a good race.
You got another race? I can't remember whether you were in yesterday's race.
No, yesterday I won my class yesterday, and yeah, we've had a good race today, so I'm happy. No damage, come back in one piece.
Next outing for the modified Ford Series, is that it for the year now?
Yeah, that's it for the year now. It's I believe it's Silverstone next year, in March, I believe, so.
There you go, you got the plug in for that as well.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Many congratulations on the podium. Lovely to see you. I'm not sure if we've got our third place man because he disappeared down the podium, but Harry Hardy. You got Harry?
Yeah.
Oh, great stuff. Thanks for coming back. Harry, we'll get you on the... Do you know what? It was very frenetic, the battling going on for second position initially and then third at the end, but you nabbed it. Well done.
Yeah, that was very intense. I mean, on that last lap, I didn't even know it was the last lap because our windscreen was so steamed up with the spray and whatnot. But yeah, we just absolutely sent it. But the more powerful cars were sliding on the exit and we could just about get the power down. So we managed to nab the place on the brakes on the last lap.
Harry, sorry to cut you short. We've got the signals going for the next race. Congratulations on the podium. Thank you for chatting to us.